Sheesh. Are we diving into it?
Yeah, we're diving right into it
All
right
right,
now.
because I just want to start off with saying, I think one of my favorite parts about this episode is them not killing off Sophia, because the
Yes.
potential and just the character in general, Kristen Mariotti, sorry if I butchered that shit, but she, oh my god,
She
killed
was
it,
in her
bro.
bag, bro. She was awesome.
Her, and Colin Farrell were going back and forth on like just who was in their who had their arm in the bag the furthest, bro. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, they were just cooking, dude, and it was just so fun to watch. So of course, them having potential or us having potential of seeing her again is something I'm really looking forward to. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is definitely. I really loved how they kind of smacked us back into reality.
Yeah,
With
they
this,
did.
they're like, yeah, you were rooting for the Penguin, but don't forget who he is. He is a psychopath, a lunatic, just an all around bad guy.
But I
So
mean, to be fair though, I don't think when we watched the Batman, we didn't fully know who we were dealing with,
exactly.
right? Because he was just working under Falcone. He's a sleazeball. Like he's gonna go and do what he can. You know, the most of the time he was like throwing jabs and like he's not afraid to kill anybody.
La Rata. Yeah.
But him being a malicious, vindictive, sociopathic like person in denial, we
Yeah.
didn't understand those levels of
Mhm.
that. But I think the even deeper side of it is that you can say like he's always been like that, but then there's certain levels and boundaries he's had to keep him in his shell, much like
Mhm.
Homelander. It reminds me so much of Homelander.
Okay.
And what
Yeah.
was happening with his mom and what was happening with the city and how unbalanced it was kind of like he was becoming more of who he's always been, because I
Mhm.
think he's kind of kept it underneath the rocks. But I think for me, as much as I love Sophia being here, Sophia just wanted to be out. She
Yeah.
just wanted to be free. Even if that meant she died, she didn't care. Even if that meant she, sailed away to Costa Rica, she didn't care. She just wanted to be away from it and burn it all down. And he kept her in the very exact place because he could have killed her. He knew how to hurt her the most.
And
And
and I think this is the most kind of sane we've seen Oswald, because I said this in the last review. I felt like it was all about mind games with Sophia, and we've seen Oswald be very kind of compulsive, very impulsive. Excuse me, and it's like someone says something to him, he doesn't know how to handle it. He fucking snaps. He just takes care of the issue right then and there. We saw that with Alberto. So for him to realize that taking her out like that wasn't the way to handle, or wasn't the right punishment, if you will, and for him to throw her back into her hell was just it. I felt like it
yeah,
was just really, really great.
Poetic in a
Yeah,
fucked up way.
very
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
writing, exactly, because it's just like she turned everything on him and made him kind of live his hell, which was telling his mother the truth.
yeah,
She already knew it, just having to actually admit it, having to spit out the words,
which he wouldn't, and he
e-
didn't.
exactly, was like his hell. So for him to be like, nah, you know what, you deserve the same treat, and just threw it right back to her, I think was just amazing. And it
Yeah.
really gets me so excited. And of course, that scene of her in the psych ward, I want to talk about it when we get there. It's just, oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, he said you're going to hell, and she said, I'll see you there. That's
I'll
actual
save you a seat.
foreshadowing too, which is insane because his butt is going to end up right there too. Because the thing about this season that I truly understand, I didn't know the levels of him being in denial was like it is very unhealthy. And unfortunately, the thing that broke me and Busy watching it the first time was watching how he took my man Vic out. And I think if Vic wouldn't have said like your family, and Oswald was like, oh, and he had this monologue as he's killing this kid. He's like, like family can make you powerful, it can give you ambition, but
Make
it
you
can
weak.
also be this tool, and I can't deal with that anymore. And I was like, if Vic wouldn't have said it, and he could have done anything, but he chose to kill this man that literally has got him to the top. And that it's unforgivable. Busy was like, I hate him. Busy kept on saying, I hate him.
And I think that this was really important too, because I don't want to catch myself in the Batman 2 rooting for the villains. You feel me? So we do get a scene where Batman is beating the brakes off my man. I'm glad they showed, I'm glad they made us hate him again. Because realistically, if we have a moment where Batman's, I'm not gonna be like, hey bro, like pull back, he had to go through a lot with his mom.
Bust all them teeth
I'm not
out.
gonna be like, yo, knock out his teeth, go crazy. I'm gonna be rooting for it. You know what I'm saying? And I think they did a really good job again, the slap in the face to remind us how bad he actually is. And it just makes me be like, hey, how cool would it be to just get more shows with villains, because we're rooting for them, but then in episode 8 we're like, oh wait, never mind, let's not root for them. And I think they just did a really, really good job with that shit. I'm just I want to see him again, but just I hope it doesn't work out. Yeah.
What I've been what I've been saying since the beginning. You can get the boy out of Gotham, you can get the Gotham out of the boy. I think if you go back and rewatch this episode, you can almost see the cracks of Oswald Cobblepot dying and the Penguin taking over mentally.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you can see when shit happens with his mom. When you see stuff with his mom, you see what that scene where she finally lets out her emotion that she's been hiding for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. How what was left of his humanity was just being stripped apart.
Mm-hmm.
And some could say it was coming down either way. But he was doing his best to balance that side. And yeah, I think him, I feel, because he's so at this point demented, if she would have said I'm proud or like goodbye and whatnot before she fully went down that syndrome, unfortunately, I think he might have given her peace. I think, but because she didn't,
he held her in bondage, bro.
He's keeping her almost like a
it's like a
bird in a nest.
Yeah,
it sounds so ironic because I'm talking about the Penguin. And I agree with you. The same way with Vic. I think he did care for the kid. He did love him, but that was Oswald. Penguin was going wah wah wah. The looking at the crown. And was like, nope, too many. There's too much. There's not enough room for everybody. Just me, the Penguin. And so it's fascinating. And again, I think we've been saying it clearly. This show stands on its own. You don't need to watch the Batman, but if you care enough, if you follow enough, the fact that they mentioned Selina's mom, and it could have been just left like that, but like you said, it was Christine Milioti is too rich of an actress, and that character is too is a gold mine to just be a one-off for 8 episodes. To keep her alive and be like, oh, by the way, there's some glimmer for you to look forward to in this letter of like your sister. You have a half sister out there. You're not alone anymore.
Bro, and that motif.
Oh, the music, and I'm just thinking about Zoe Kravitz. Anyways, and you see how, again, it's almost sad how much these people follow this dude, and how much I think in what was left of Oswald care for these folks, the lower middle class. But now we're gonna have to just watch him just use these people.
Yeah, his ambition is overshadowing anything that
does matter. He had left in him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And back at that club, like that was seeing his siblings, his brothers, and how they're slowly fading. Mrs. Cobblepot nailed this episode. I think this might have been her best episode yet.
Yeah, sure.
I think that actress, I don't know how she did. I don't know how many takes they did for her. I would like to know, how many takes did y'all spend in that club? Because that must have felt draining. Yeah. It felt draining watching it. I can't imagine performing it.
Yeah.
And because rightfully so, people are gonna say Matt Reeves. I want her name to be known. Lauren LeFranc. She's a showrunner. I think she wrote most of these episodes. She might have directed an episode. At the panel Comic-Con, they're emphasizing, Lauren is weird and can write weird shit and go deep in the fucked up realm with these characters. And like I was so eager to see, okay, what's she gonna bring to this? And right now I can't do it because I'm in shock, but I would stand up
Oh,
and be
she's
like,
okay.
I'd be like, I didn't see this coming. And in some way, I would say this is almost the anti-Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Where Christopher Smith came out, you like him, but then he did a despicable thing that it made you hate him for doing what he did to Rick Flag.
Mhm.
But then they did a show where you find his humanity,
Mhm.
and this one was the polar opposite. It's like, all right, we show you some humanity, but he damned himself. So now enjoy the top hat, the cigar,
Not
and the
even, bro.
cane.
To be fair, we just didn't see much of him. We didn't see anything outside of just the gangster or the man working for Falcone, you know? So to
Right.
see them kind of dive into his character even more, that's where you realize, wait a second, this guy is even more of a douchebag than I thought. So it was just like he was already like a ooh, bad guy. And now he's like, oh my god, he's a bad guy, you know? So it's the fact that they did so much character work and in this 8-episode series, I think that's what is extremely impressive. And I want to go back to the whole, um, you know, it being a standalone kind of project. Because at the same time, yeah, it would have been cool if we got, you know, a little more Batman. But at the end of the day, they did so well without it.
Okay with it.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, from a writing standpoint, you know, from a creative standpoint, it gives them so much more freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we want Batman in episode 7 and 8, but you got to make sure you don't reference this, or this, and you got to make sure he doesn't have this, or this. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they were able to do whatever they wanted, and it made sense because at the same time, it's like, why wasn't Batman there? You know, there was an explosion. He should have been there. Well, maybe he was stopping something crazier at the other side of Gotham because Gotham is
Right.
a
It's
fucking shit
big.
show.
Right.
So it's like I'm sure they'll touch up on it a little bit, you know, but like I'm just so excited for this specific world to just expand because I just love the connectivity, but it doesn't need to just be so heavily connected in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
And I love that you bring that up about people are gonna be like bitching and wanting you. What about Batman? And it's like I think people have to realize is that you don't have to see this to enjoy it. You have to see Batman to enjoy this. But if you did, hopefully then you learn the lesson that by the time we get to the ending, he realizes he can't just be vengeance.
Right.
He can't be night. He has to help people. So even if that means helping people, him being almost the superpower National Guard to help out people out of a flood. Because remember, folks, Gotham is still recuperating.
Right.
It's not 100% yet. And so I feel like that's a justification to be like, okay, why isn't he involved in this show? And dare I say it, that I think that flash of the bat signal was all I really needed. Anything else was really pushing it. Of like, no, this is good. This is balanced well enough. And I feel that also shout out to Victor, the actor,
Oh man.
man,
The homie Renzi Felice, yeah.
and to see how much he's learned from that guy, and also him being a downfall. And you know what's I just thought about it right now. What's fucked up? Oswald threw his ID into the water. His folks died of the flood, and it's like now he's joining his family in the water, and it's like again little things like that. I'm noticing it. It's just in the most effed up way. Mwah, this show, like
I mean, they're doing little things like that, whether it's Oswald having to, oh, not having to, but Oswald killing his brothers, and then the thing that saved them was the well he like trapped his brothers
Trapped
in.
him
You know
in,
what I'm
yep.
saying? So like different things like that where it's just like it ends up being like a little circle.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's sick, but it impresses me the more and more I kind of think back to it. It's like wow, these not only were the actors in their bags, but the writers were too. And the fact that it felt so not authentic, but felt so similar to what we got in the Batman, I think is what I like a lot because we have a lot of franchises that will try to make spin-offs or whatever, and a lot of them have different feels to it, which is great, which is okay. There's no problem with that. I get you want to try to make things for different, audiences that are, trying to get into it, but the fact that this just felt like the same exact vibe, it was like filmed the same way. It was the way the score was, it was very similar to what we've gotten, and whether in like the Batman or whatever, but like they just did a really really good job with making it feel 100% in that same universe without being like, hey, just a heads up, this is, you know, the Batman. Like they didn't throw it in our face. Like it just
Yeah.
the vibe alone was enough for us to be like, well, this is great.
Yeah, I got to talk about the way they use dialogue and storytelling. If you use Mrs. Cobb, right, as a staple example, like we see her sprinkled in, like we know she's got dementia the very first few episodes. We know she's disjointed, right? But we don't know really what kind of person she is until the 7th episode. We're like, whoa, she's actually really cool, really sweet. She's supposed to be a nice mom. You know, she's a little, you know, rough around the edges, but
Eccentric.
she's actually a good person.
I
Very
thought she was going to be
similar,
a cliche too, and
right?
they really did. She wasn't.
Yeah, it was very similar to who Sophia was, right? In the
Yeah.
very beginning before this situation turned her.
Yeah.
And as you're looking at certain things as this show progresses, you're seeing like, oh wow, like how does she kind of shake herself out and bring her son to the club and bounce back? You know, like after that tragedy, like how does she bounce herself back? Then we find out, oh wow, Oswald freaking killed the sons. And it's like, well, wait, how does she mentally deal with that? Well, we find out in this freaking episode, well, the reason why she went to the gangster club because she was ready to kill him. Like, and honestly, it's so messed up. The truth of the matter is, few episodes back, when she was spazzing, she had an episode, she asked and begged Oswald, don't let me become a vegetable. Don't let me be this drooling shell of myself. Please. You got to do this. You can do it, right? And so as he's kind of saying, like, to her in the bedroom or in the hospital, like, don't do this to me, mom. Don't do this, mom. He was saying the same exact thing he was saying then. Then his psychosis came out and was like, no, tell me you're proud of me. Please tell me you're proud of me. Just say it once. Just say it once. I need you to tell me. And like, it goes back to that same exact kid. The dialogue in the beginning of this is the same exact sick person. And it's just, he justified keeping his mom in that state, pinned up in his own chicken coop because of himself, out of selfishness. And it's just wrong, bro. Like, and the way that they wrote it, we didn't know how we got up to this point. It was just written so freaking well. They gave us enough sprinkles to lead us to this point, but we never knew this is what this woman was dealing with. And I honestly feel like, old dude that was ready to handle it, I think that was their dad. That's my theory. I really do think that was the actual dad. Because when he was talking about the kids, and he was like, I could have paid for the funeral. You should have came to me. And it was just like, it made me believe that he kind of was like, I don't want anybody to use y'all as a weakness for me. So I'm going to disassociate myself. Because that's the same as that thing Oswald did. He's like, nah, I don't have any family. That's a weakness. This guy was just like, okay, I'm here to protect you. I'll take care of you and whatnot. Let me handle this for you. Because he gave her the option. He's like, you can hone him to be great. And he can be this. Or you can let him go. And I was just like, this is bleak, sick, bro. This is so bleak. So freaking bleak.
And the fact that, like, she, like, in a way, her saying, don't let me be a vegetable, she was saying almost like, let me die with this lie. Let me die with this fantasy. Which, again, is more effed up than, and it's just like, and almost in a weird way, Sophia pushing the buttons in that club, it's almost shocking how she was just like, this is not going to end well. Just let it out of the way. Get this out of your health. And almost in a effed up way, she was trying to almost help them both to be like, end this misery, end this cycle. Let's end it now. Yeah. And almost her slapping, not physically, but verbally slapping, also be like, you were willing to let me cut her damn finger. She had to do it herself. And almost throwing it back at him, being like you don't deserve her. You never loved her, whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, because the mom was like fussing at him. She was like, you were gonna let that happen. And he kept in denial, still in denial. Like, but it's not as though I thought he's just this pathological liar. He believes these lies that he tells because he has to. Mentally, he has to believe what he's doing is justified or right. And I don't think I've seen those levels of mental illness like that, like on screen. Because I don't think I've ever looked at Oswald Cobblepot as mentally ill. But his delusions of grandeur is actually a real psychosis. I've never seen it done like this, to be honest.
Imagine if Oswald Cobblepot and Wilson Fisk went into a room together. How the fuck is that combo gonna be like? Imagine Vincent D'Onofrio and Colin Farrell in their perspective characters talking it out like that and be like, "Where you come from? Where you've been? What you've done?" And it's just like
Everything
fucked up, stupid and whatnot. Again, it's now. I'm cherishing whenever we see what's her name, Rao, the mayor, or the lady in charge, and that, seeing the cop that was like, telling Batman, I got you on assaulting 2 officers, and him being like, no, I'm assaulting 2 now. Like seeing them spend more time with, it's gonna enrich this world and this city, and it's gonna make us actually be like, okay, why do we care about these people? Right. Why should we care about this city? That this dude in a bat suit is fighting for? Like, why? So I appreciate that we spent some time with the people that would probably be side characters in movies and whatnot, and it's not just about the gadgets, it's not just about the one-liners or the music, which is impeccable. I can't wait to get this on Blu-ray, and I hope to God there's some commentaries. I want to hear commentaries of the directors, the cast, and just see if I pick up on other stuff. I before later on when I do a series review, I don't know how I'm gonna have to break it down, because it stuck the landing. It stuck the landing, and what a great addition to television and the DC universe in the Elseworld label.
Yeah. Busy. What were you gonna talk about before? You were gonna talk about Sophia again? I forgot.
I think it had to do with I really like the choice that they went with the whole fact that it was like a dementia scene, and they placed the mother from present day in her memories. You know what I'm saying? And I just really like that choice because the actress was killing it, but it kind of reminded me of certain scenes that they were doing, such as when she chose to stab Oswald, and it kind of jumped back to like 10-year-old him, and it was just like the different choices like that just kind of made it a little more impactful, because it's like when she stabbed him, she wasn't seeing present day, she was seeing her little boy that she's been hating him since that age. And then we see the whole sequence of her deciding to, of her older version of her being in the flashbacks. Jesus, it's like a whole mouthful saying it. It was just a really, really interesting choice. And I thought it kind of made the scene so much more meaningful. You know what I'm saying? Because if they just threw in a new actress, which they did show another actress for her, I feel like it would have still meant something, but it just felt so much more authentic because of how broken her mind is. And you can see her in that time frame. Like when we're seeing her in present day, she'll literally have instances where she's back, say in 1983. She's like back, in those moments, and she doesn't realize it. So to see her, just full physical form back then, it made a lot of sense, and I thought it was a really interesting choice.
Deirdre O'Connell she plays Frances Cobb, and Jesus Christ, that's all I gotta say. I'm like, wow. Like everybody who wants, the representation stuff and whatnot, like look to this show, because like easily 2 of the coolest, badass, dangerous characters of 2024 television are in this show, and they're women. So like, look at this. Like, it is mind bending. Oh.
Yeah,
people are gonna be sick of this. Like, people are gonna feel ill after each episode, probably after this show.
Oh no, it definitely gave me like how the end of The Last of Us season 1 ended. Like I mean, me and Busy, we were watching. We were like, man, I can't wait for Ronan to see this, because we kind of were like, yo, I'm broken right now, bro. I hate this man, but the show is so freaking good. Like real rap. I mean, technically HBO is 2 for 2. They did with Watchmen, phenomenal. But they did with this, I didn't even see this being this good. I knew it was going to be, good because Matt Reeves is involved in it and he had a lot of creative control. And the actors are there. But if you would have told me this is one of the best shows this year, I would have never believed that.
And
I don't know.
I want to put this out there, and I know this might be a little bit of a hot take, but when it comes to a lot of like Star Wars spin-offs or Marvel spin-offs, and I'm not saying all of them, but some of them, they feel like kind of like a placeholder, something to just kind of tie you over until you get the next big project. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to certain of the specific Marvel shows, we're like, we'll get this one, but that's just to tie us over to the movie that's like following it.
Yeah.
Where this is just phenomenal on its own. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it just holds it. It stands on its own. You're not feeling as though it's just something to tie us over. The story is phenomenal. The acting is phenomenal. It's on par. And I think it's close to what we got in the Batman. It's almost there. It's not obviously not there, but it's close. And I feel like that's the difference between this show and some of the other spin-offs we'll get in other franchises, because it doesn't feel like something like, oh yeah, this is coming out. It's all right. And then when you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, it was all right. It was good, but it was all right. This just fucking blew me out of the park.
Yeah.
I concur. I feel like that has a beginning, a middle, and end. And if you want to continue, you can. But the Godfather, it ends with Michael becoming the head of the family, even though he didn't want to at all. And the last shot is the look of his wife, knowing he's probably lied to her face about what he's done, and the door just closes on her. And it's just like, this dude made it to the top, and it cost him everything.
Right. Yeah. He just burnt as much as like Sophia, physically burnt everything. He burnt every relationship that he had.
Or all the bridges except for the one he had with Eve, which was the most dangerous one.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say this respectfully. She'll never trust him. And she'll never truly love him.
But that's the thing we didn't talk. Yeah, I don't think she'll ever love him. But realistically, we thought she didn't know about the mom. But I think what they've been doing here is something that they've done multiple times. Because we never actually saw her and him like kind of work. We never actually saw.
True.
We just saw her, being
we
there
never know how they affection to each other.
And we had that remark by her where she was like, "Oh, me and him know what we have. We and him have an understanding. We know what we're doing." And we didn't really know what that meant, other than the fact that, oh yeah, they're pretending to play house. That's just kind of where we kind of comprehended it, but we never really knew. But
so this is an Amos situation.
Yeah, so it's kind of a really messed up situation. 100%. The mommy issues are 100% there, and she's playing into it. She knows exactly what she's doing. Where I think the whole Eamon situation, I don't know if that lady understood the actual severity of the situation. She's able to connect 2 and 2. She's cradling a grown-ass man, so maybe. But this woman was dead ass, oh, I'm proud of you. I knew you were gonna do this ever since you were a little boy. I knew you were gonna she was literally feeding into the delusion. Yeah. Like it's not necessarily the same thing, but 100% the same vibe. Except Oswald is not afraid to he's so comfortable with her. He knows she'll be fine with feeding into this delusion. It's just sick. It's sick.
Yeah. So one thing I was gonna say, if you guys had 30 seconds, kind of in a non-spoiler capacity, just to share with people what this was, what would you say? Just 30 seconds.
The episode or the series?
Just the series. 30 seconds, non-spoiler. How should they feel going into this?
I feel that if you're interested in looking into a universe that's well beloved, that has a rich history, and want to feel fresh and yet be its own thing without too much attachment from the outer stuff, check the show out. It is R, and it's not just the violence. It's that they put you through the ringer of following these characters and really toying with the idea of whether you trust these people or not. And I feel like it's worth checking out, and I think it's worth sitting through for 8 episodes and see how you feel at the end of it.
Liz?
30-second summary of the Penguin. I think it has the perfect mix of like The Godfather, The Sopranos, but with that DC vibe. Of course, it's such a good standalone project. You don't need to have seen the Batman to enjoy this. It is it's handled so well. Like, some of the best acting we've seen in a comic book project. And again, like, if you're worried about not seeing any of the prior projects, do not stress about this, because it stands on its own. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say, everyone, is that if you were excited for the Penguin because of the Batman, it will exceed your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Emmy-worthy performances, the atmosphere, the cinematography, it feels like a rich continuation of Gotham and its own legacy, but you will understand the psychological impact of how dark Gotham truly is and what it can create in something like the Penguin. This is an unmissable show. You guys do not want to miss it. Trust me. All 8 episodes, you're going to be impressed.
Can I say this? After 80 years of this mythology existing, it still packs a punch. It still packs a punch. It's not just, you could do Dan DeVito, you can do Burgess Meredith, you can do the different Gotham, you could do Oswald Cobblepot and Cape Crusaders. You could do this version, and it still packs a punch after this character's been existing for almost a century, and it's still like fresh blood and dirty hands. Oh,
yeah. All right. So, what are our ratings of the finale?
A, and best compliment I can give it is I want to buy the Blu-ray. I want it on my collection.
Yeah.
Another A. Whole bop, fantastic. I just can't wait for this franchise as a whole to continue.
Yeah, this is an A+ for me. I think that this finale, they stuck it so well. It goes down the road of like those perfect seasons. Like The Flash to me is like a perfect season. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the way that it concluded, and I think you said it, Ronan, and I think they did the same thing with The Watchmen, is that if you never have another season of The Penguin, which I pray they do, it'll be still fine, because they're going to still continue what Gotham is and other stuff. It's not just one person. It's a sickness that has spread, and it has a cause and effect for good and for bad. So this is an A+ for me. And I think it elevates the whole series to A+, in all honesty.
And don't rush it. If you're really planning on doing season 2 or even the Batman Part 2, please don't rush it. Because we live in a day and age where we can feel it, we can see it, and we can smell it. Like, the rush is like, don't do that. Like, take your time with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Matt already might be writing this because of how this is going to lead into, and I think that it's going to lead to something. But yeah, Ronan, thank you for allowing us to join your reaction. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Ronan and Shane on YouTube, on the socials, and I'm gonna do my damnedest to drop those reactions every week. And I can't wait for the rest of the world to see this, and maybe we might have a live stream discussion once everybody else has seen it. We'll see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Busy. Where can everybody find your content?
Busy Braun everywhere. Busy reactions on Instagram and doing reviews over here, as well as reactions on Ronan on Jane's channel. We're going to be doing, again, reactions on my channel as well as on TikTok. So I'm excited for that. But we have a lot of other stuff coming out too. So stay tuned.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to go, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed our weekly reviews for each one. If you want to see our non-spoiler discussion kind of going into the first 3 episodes, you can go see that. And again, like Ronan said, we maybe do a spoiler discussion on the full entire season on his channel. So if you want to check out our reactions, definitely go and check on their respective social media and YouTube pages. We'll be back later. Peace, people.
Filing out the top of the
skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.